What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to No Dumb Questions, where you get to know that there are no dumb questions, where we get to have a conversation about what matters to you as a parent or an educator or just a member of the community. I say just a member of the community because not everybody who's interested in education is an educator. In many cases, the folks who are interested come from all walks of life because they understand just how important it is that we find some of the solutions for the challenges that we're faced with. We have been for so long trying to uncover how it is that we can close what is referred to as the achievement gap, where the typical African-American high school senior is reading at the freshman year level of a white high school student. So even when we control for income, what we find is that Black children and Latin children across the country are significantly underperforming. In fact, according to the SAT, less than 10% of African American and Latino high school seniors are college ready by high school graduation. I'll say it again, less than 10% of America's Black and Latin children, when they are high school seniors, are ready to go to college. I know this because that's what I do for a living. I work with urban students in Hartford, Connecticut, in Bridgeport, Connecticut, in Harlem, New York, and of course in the Bronx. There's only one Bronx, and that is in the Bronx, New York. I'm the head of schools and founder of what we refer to as the Capital Preparatory Schools. These are schools that serve students from historically disadvantaged populations and have since we opened our first school in 2005 in Hartford, Connecticut. That first school is a magnet school. We won't get into magnet schools versus charter schools versus traditional schools. That's for another time. But what we will talk about is how and why it's super important. I'm petting my dog. He just came over to greet me. I just got home from work, as you can tell. How and why you can become an urban educator and why it's so important to do so. I don't know where you work if you're an educator. I don't know what interests you, but I can tell you that there is nothing more fulfilling than working with students who come from historically disadvantaged populations. At Capital Prep, over 90% of the children that we receive in the 6th grade from other schools are below grade level in math, English, history, social studies, and of course, science. Meaning in virtually every subject, what's happening in Inglewood, Chicago, in virtually every subject, the kids who come to our school who are overwhelmingly Black and Latin, in fact, we have almost no white children in any of our schools, not because we're against that, it's just because who our community is populated with and who chooses our school are below grade level. And for many, that is a reason to not work in those schools. Many of our kids come in after having been mistreated by the schools that they've attended. When I say that, they're used to feeling like schools don't give a damn about them. They're used to feeling like the teachers don't care. You can often ask children of color who attend urban schools what they learned at school today. And they will all say the same thing, nothing. And if you look at the data, they're not just being teenagers or middle schoolers. They're telling the truth. The overwhelming majority of African-American children are not learning from the schools that they attend. And the reason why they're not learning is because they're not being taught. To be taught means to learn. You can't say that you taught a child something if the child cannot in some way show you that they can do what it is that you showed them how to do. If you showed them how to tie their shoes, they should be able to tie their shoes. You can't say, I taught them to tie their shoes. And then I say, well, let me see you tie your shoes, son. Kid can't tie his shoes. You didn't teach him. You may have talked about it. You may have shown him. You may have shown him that you can do it, but you did not teach him how to do it. Well, when you're teaching Black and Latin kids, and especially poor Black and Latin kids in the United States of America, you get away with murder. You can say that you taught kids something that they had no evidence of learning. You can say you taught them math, despite the fact that they cannot do math on grade level. You can say you taught them to read, despite the fact they cannot read. That you taught them how to compute in science, and they show no evidence of being able to compute in science. And what you can do if you work in urban schools, you can say it's the tests. You can blame it on the test. You can blame it on poverty. You can blame it on racism. You can blame it on sunshine, moonlight, good times, or the boogie. But you will not be held accountable as an educator who's an urban educator, because it is believed that Black and Latin kids can't learn. Most people won't say that, but it is what they accept. What they've done, I say they, what I mean is educators, what I mean teachers unions, what I mean is people who call themselves liberals. What they do is they use things like poverty and race to explain away bad teaching, poor instruction, ineffective building leadership. They use all those things to get people off the hook while keeping them employed yet another year, so they can send their own kids to schools where they actually teach them how to do things that people are being paid to teach. Why I think it's so important to be an educator in urban schools is because I have learned firsthand that if you can teach, meaning if you know how to take something that's in your head and put it in the heads of our children, man, you can teach. Not because our kids are so thick in the head, because they're no more thick in the head than any other kids. They're kids. Not because they're incapable of learning, because if you take a Black kid and you give him an iPhone and you take a white kid and give him an iPhone, there will be no difference between their capacity to be able to use this high level of technology. But if you teach our children, one of the things that you've done is you've broken through the years of trauma that they've experienced by attending America's public schools. Year after year, Black and Latin children are the most likely to be suspended or expelled. Black and Latin children are the most likely to be left behind, the least likely to be reading, writing, doing math, and computing on grade level, and have the worst attendance of all children in schools. It's not because they hate school. It's because they believe school doesn't like them. So the reason why I work in urban schools is because I understand that somebody's got to be part of the solution, where what we do is we prove that schools can love you. Schools can love you. They can put it in place to work their behinds off to make sure that you learn. They can give you homework that you want to do. They can give you classwork. They can give you energy. There's nothing more frustrating in my schools when I walk by and it's like, and the kids have their heads down like this, or they're sitting like this. That's not how kids act. When you see kids acting like that, it is because the adult that is in front of them is not making the commitment to engage them. What they're doing is they're tapping out. The adult is saying, you can't learn any goddamn way. So what am I going to waste my time for? And I'm going to get to keep my job because you're Black and Latin and you're poor. So ain't nobody expecting you to learn anything. And you're not expecting to learn anything because you've had so much trauma in your educational experiences that you don't even expect to learn when you're in school. You just expect to go because you got to go. There's something that you probably go for that happens after school, like a sport or a drill team or some other activity. The only reason why you win is because somebody said you got to go. And after a while, you just go and you don't even do anything because nobody's even really checking for you. If you just go to school and you act like a good kid, whatever a good kid is versus a bad kid, you're going to get at least C's. So there's no impetus for you to do well because nobody's even expecting you to do well. No one's actually even expecting you to learn. But I know that there are some people who can teach, straight up teach. And that's why we need you on the front lines in urban schools. We need you because you help us to reinvigorate the children. The children very badly want somebody to care about them. That's all they really want. I know the research around having Black teachers in front of kids, it improves their performance significantly. But I'm going to be honest with you, I don't give a damn what color you are. Kids don't care what color you are. All they care is that you care. And care has no color. Care comes in all colors. What they want to know is that you care about them. They want to know that you did your homework last night, that you came to class ready to teach, that you came to class prepared, that you did the intellectual preparation. You're not coming here on some BS. You're not coming here and just talk off the top of the dome because you watched Beyonce last night. For real, I've seen a teacher do this. You watched Beyonce last night in the BET Awards and you want to talk about that in class. What the hell has that got to do with anything? Ain't teach no class on Beyonce. That's what you prepared for a lesson last night. Tell me where that is on the SAT. When is that going to appear on a GMAT or an LSAT? This is what Black and Latin kids get every damn day. They get people coming in and winging it, just pulling something out of their ear, just talking off the top of their head, just talking about whatever's important to them. And then when the principal or somebody in a leadership position comes in, then you want to start talking about like, you ain't doing nothing. This is what the overwhelming majority of Black and Latin kids experience today, and it's what they're going to experience tomorrow, because nobody is checking for them. Nobody is taking the time to make sure that the people who teach them are actually teaching. I love teaching in the hood. I love working in the hood. That same kid who I approached yesterday and asked her, I introduced myself to her and I tell her my name. And then I ask her name. And then I talk to her about the fact she's got on sneakers and she's supposed to have on school shoes. The one that gives me that really funky attitude looks at me like I stink and starts talking to me like mad reckless, like I'm her boy or something like that, like I'm somebody else. Please, that kid right there, she ain't going nowhere. We're going to stand right here in this hallway and we're going to do this like you need to do it. This could go either the easy way or the hard way, but what you're not going to do is disrespect you or me in this hallway. I didn't approach you in a disrespectful way, and you're not going to approach me in a disrespectful way. Once they understand, I'm not going anywhere. Child said to me, what if I don't want to wear the blazer? Not a problem. There are a lot of schools where you don't have to wear a blazer. She didn't expect me to say that. She didn't expect me to say that. Babe, just wear the blazer. You want to come to Capital Prep, wear the blazer. If you have an issue with money, and you can talk about that, but what you're not going to tell me as a grown person is that you're not going to do what a grown person tells you to do. When children understand that the adults are in charge, it actually makes them happy. It actually makes them feel good. They know there's a structure. See, you work in an environment where kids thirst the structure, thirst the discipline, not discipline like hollering at somebody, but the discipline of doing something the right way. Our kids love that. Our kids love it. Our kids absolutely adore people who are consistent. If you say they got to wear the uniform, make them wear the uniform. If you say they got to do the homework, they got to do the homework. You say you're going to help them, you help them. Whatever it is that you say you do, our kids don't want fake people in their lives. They have so many people come before them and break promises. What they want is they want consistency. They want to know that you are in control today, tomorrow, and every day. And when they know that you're in control, then they can dial back and start to be kids. So many of our kids who are in the hood, who are living in poverty, they got to act like grown people. In many cases, they're among the most mature people in their lives. They talk to their mothers and fathers like any old way sometimes. They just mad reckless. They talk to teachers any old way, talk to anybody. Because in their mind, they're grown. They're grown. They'll talk grown. They think they act grown. And if you allow them, they're going to talk to you like they're grown. But when you do right by them and you let them know, I love you enough to let you know you are not grown. I don't care what your responsibilities outside of here are. That doesn't make you grown. As long as you're still a student in our school, you're a child. You're a young adult, but you damn sure ain't grown. These are the experiences that we get to have every single day working in urban schools. We get to be a part of something that matters. We get to be in a place where kids care about you caring. They know that in many cases, we're the only thing separating them from poverty and prosperity. And if they believe that we're going to build a bridge to prosperity, then they will trust us because they will believe that the bridge has integrity. Integrity is not a moral conversation. It's one of function. Something has integrity if it does what it's supposed to do. If you are supposed to build a bridge for them, they have to be able to trust you. And what that means in a practical sense, that means that when you tell them to come to school on time, they come to school on time because they believe that if they come to school on time, they're going to get what it is they're supposed to get. When you tell them that you need them to press through and do the homework that you gave them, they do it because they believe that you are going to teach them something. When they are having a tough day and they want to tap out and you say to them, you're not tapping out. No, you're not doing that. You go wash your face in the bathroom, get that all together, but you're going to come back in here and we're going to do this math. I hate math. Well, guess what you're going to do today? You're going to fall in love with it because I love you and I want you to get this math so that you can take this math and change your life. This is an experience that can only occur in communities where people have given up on our children. It can only occur in places where children feel like there's no hope. They're in the darkest days and they're only 11. In our schools and in our community, what we get to do is we get to engage kids who've never felt engaged by school. They stopped liking school right after they started. In fact, despite the fact that African-American children only make up 18% of all the kindergartners, they make up 48% of the out-of-school suspensions for kindergartners, for 5-year-olds. It's kind of hard to like something that hates you. The American public school system hates Black kids, hates Latin kids. And anybody tells you anything different is a damn lie. There's nothing in the data that says anything other than Americans' public education hates Black and Latin kids. They hate us. They do. If they didn't, why the hell they keep kicking us out so damn much? Why don't they teach us when we go? Because they don't like us. But if you are a person who does love kids, then my suggestion is that you find your way to an urban school. You find an opportunity to teach in a school there where everyone else is giving up, and watch and see how much our children love you. And I mean love you. They'll call you mom and auntie and uncle and dad, and they mean it. They'll invite you to their quinceañera. You go to a couple funerals, hopefully none of your kids. Maybe you'll get invited over to the house for a barbecue, and maybe you won't. Maybe the first time you'll see a parent of a student that you've had from the 9th grade is on graduation, and they'll get up in graduation and show out like they've been there every day. And you know what you'll do? Show out with them. It's important to me that you understand why it is I teach in urban schools and work in urban schools, because I believe that our kids are so special. And because I believe that they're so special, I know that if you got to meet them, you would too. I never can understand how people can meet our children and not fall madly in love with them. They're awesome. Even with the little funky attitudes, even with the aggression they present you with, that goes away. It actually does. It goes away when you start to believe in them, when they know they can trust you, when they know that you have integrity. That's why I work in urban schools. We start urban schools because so many of our kids, parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents have been done wrong by the schools. Imagine, if you will, how many of our parents and grandparents could be in a wholly different place if they just went to a school that cared about them and met teachers who cared. So if you're interested in making sure that you care, this is your opportunity. Do it. Join the fight. Come to the front lines. Leave the ivory tower. Come up off those blogs. Instead of letting your thumbs do the talking, let your actions. Thank you so much again for joining us for No Dumb Questions. This is an opportunity for you and me to have a conversation about things that matter. Thank you for taking the time out of your day. You could be doing so many other things. You probably, like me, just got home. You got a dog that you got to feed, and you got a son that you got to feed, and you got yourself that you have to feed. If you work in urban schools, it's highly probable that you didn't eat yet today at all. Even if you had a prep, you probably didn't eat. And if you did, you ate really fast. So you didn't really even digest your food. So you could be doing a whole bunch of other things than participate in this conversation, but you did, and I thank each one of you who joined us today. Tell a friend, because the way in which good information gets out is if we share good information. We often talk about all the negative imagery of Black people and Latin people in media. Well, it's because we click when we see that. We click so often when we see a Black person beating up another Black person, or somebody else beating up a Black person, or somebody showing their behind and doing something like that. It's clickbait. But where are we when it comes time to having a conversation about our kids? So if no one else likes it, we have to. These are our kids. This is our community. Thank you so much. Hug somebody you love.